Going live. We are live.
Huh?
Sorry, ladies.
Yay.
Okay, we are live on Facebook. Let me just make sure that we are on there on my phone really quickly. Alrighty, it looks like we are live. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you everyone who is hopping on our live right now. My name is Leanna Carson. I am one of the co-founders of Northern Nevada Moms, and this is my co-founder, Casey Queen, who is also the other co-founder of Northern Nevada Moms. And today we're joined by Principal Jami Curtis of Pinecrest Academy of Northern Nevada, which will be opening this fall. And we're so excited to have her here. We're so excited to be going live with everyone. And, we'll be answering a bunch of questions that we got on our Instagram and Facebook during this live. If you have questions, we would love for you to join in on the conversation. You can ask questions in the comments below on this Facebook Live, and we'll try to answer them throughout, in addition to our conversation. So I'm going to hand it off to Casey, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, so we're just going to jump right into some of the questions that we've received. We've received so many different questions, and so we're really excited to get answers to them. So Jami, could you tell us a little bit more about Pinecrest Academy, what it is, and why they decided to open up in Northern Nevada?
Yeah, of course. So Pinecrest Academy is a K through 7. This year will be a K through 8 next year. State charter school. So that means that we're publicly funded. We're not part of the county school district. We are sponsored directly by the charter authority. And so we are subject to the same standards and the same content standards and curriculum that is used by other public schools in the state. We have sister schools in Florida, sister schools in Las Vegas, and we have sister schools right here in town in Doral Academy and Mater Academy. And so coming to this area and the Spanish Springs area in particular, we really perceived a need for a K-8 charter school that had a vision and a mission of integrating STEAM curriculum, blended learning, and creating a sense of community for our students out here in Spanish Springs.
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of just said that it's in Spanish Springs, but can you tell us a little bit more about where it's located?
Yeah, of course. So Spanish Springs, as you know, is when you leave McCarran and turn onto Pyramid Highway and head north, you're going to go down past all of the shopping centers where Costco is and all of that, and keep heading north past La Posada, go about another 2 miles to Calle de la Plata, and turn left on Calle de la Plata, and then another left there's a new housing community out there on Silent Sparrow. So we are right on a 15-acre site located out on the north side of Spanish Springs. It's a beautiful location. If you haven't had a chance to drive by, it's a 2-story facility, and it's under construction right now. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And so if you're not familiar with Sparks, it's just right past like the Save Mart, just like a few miles that's in Sparks. So it's actually like a pretty simple drive. Moving on, can you tell us why Pinecrest or any charter school over a traditional elementary school, and then like the pros of a charter school?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a charter school, we have our own governing board. That is, to me, the central piece, is that we have a board that makes decisions for our school. So we have a lot of autonomy over what happens on our school site. That piece is huge because that means that we are responsive to our community needs and to our student needs at a very local level, which is really important, especially in the K-8 setting. So that piece for the governance piece of the school. In terms of as a parent, why I would choose a K-8 school over a traditional elementary school is that there are a lot of advantages to having that age range on a single campus site. So in addition to doing a lot of fostering community and leadership, which we'll do with our middle school students, helping become leaders and foster relationships across campus with our younger students. Younger students get to see our older students in action and get to have those academic behaviors and leadership qualities modeled across campus. And so the advantage, especially in the middle years, is having a smaller setting with access to some of those more traditional elementary type of things like recess and having those fun special classes like PE and music, but also having that capacity to be part of a community. And for our middle school students, knowing that they are leaders and there's a lot of collaborative efforts going on campus. So whether it's reading buddies from 7th graders reading with kindergarteners, or our events that we'll do once a month to foster community across campus. Those are the types of things that are happening on a K-8 campus that don't look the same at a traditional K-5 campus or a traditional middle school setting. And so from my perspective, as a parent, I'll have 4 kids across all the grade levels at Pinecrest. To me, that's one of the most important aspects of creating that environment. And in addition to that, you have, if you think about having students, kindergarten through 9th graders, starting with a group of families that are having all students enter kindergarten or 1st grade at the same time, you're gonna go through 8, 9 years together as a community. And so what that does is it really fosters a sense of pride and a sense of community and a sense of collaboration, building relationships with the staff and with parents, with our parent-teacher organization, and those things that just look different when you know you're going to be in this journey for that long with the other families in the community. So it's a very special experience. It's an experience that will take our students from kindergarten all the way through their middle years and prepare them very well for high school and beyond.
I love that. And yeah, I've never thought of it as that way. So thanks for sharing about that. What are the core values over at Pinecrest?
So the core, we start with having students that have really strong social and emotional learning and really strong foundational skills in making good decisions, building relationships with others, being self-aware, being socially aware. So we start with a really strong foundation of students knowing who they are in relationship to those around them, what it takes to make good decisions and to plan. We root that process in an extension of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in a younger version of that, which is the 7 Habits of Happy Kids. And so we take those principles and we teach them to our students so that they understand who they are in relationship to their school, to their community, their state, and their world. And so that is the foundation in terms of them knowing who they are and having a great starting point for launching into those other pieces on campus that are really important, and that being academics that are very strong and reflective, that continuously evaluate where students are in terms of growth in the core content areas, and then at the same time having access to the special classes that allow them to elaborate, pursue their interests, and expand their growth and their passion for some of those other areas that make them well-rounded people. And so that's also equally important, and certainly doesn't supersede needing to have those strong foundational SEL skills. And then the other piece of that is that everything that we do is student-centered. So when it comes to hiring staff, choosing curriculum, when it comes to furniture, what do we purchase for the PE program? What kinds of things do we want to do? It's all about what is best for our kids. And so having those foundational values is center of what we do at Pinecrest, and is at the forefront of everybody's minds, is always what's on the table when we're having a conversation. So I think that just starting from a student-centric place really sets our kids and our community up for growth and for success.
Yeah, okay, I love that.
That's awesome. One question that we have on here is, for the lottery, when do people hear back about being accepted, and how long do they have to apply for Pinecrest?
For admission. Okay, so our lottery is open through April 12th. At midnight on April 12th, our lottery, so accepting applications for the first round of enrollment, will be closed. And from April 12th through April 15th, we'll do income verification so that we can honor our weighted lottery. So families will have an opportunity to submit documentation for free and reduced lunch so that they can have an extra ticket in the lottery. April 15th, we'll send out acceptances via text message to families. We typically have a shorter window. However, due to everyone working remotely and everything that's going on right now, we're going to do all of our paper submission electronically. So we will extend that time a little bit and work with families because it is a little tricky sometimes. People are closed and hard to get a hold of. And so gathering all of those pieces to complete the enrollment process may take a little bit longer than it typically would if we were just mailing in paper packets and things like that. Yeah, so we will likely extend that from a typical 3 to 5 day and work with families because of course there's a lot going on right now and we want to make sure that we give everyone just adequate time to gather all of those pieces for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, Casey. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Question I wanted to
No, that's perfect. Okay, we'll keep going. This one, if I live in the Reno area, can my child still attend?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So yes, so as a state-funded charter school, the only requirement to be eligible to attend is that you have to be a resident of the state of Nevada. So we are not bound by county lines. We're not bound by city lines. We're only bound by state borders. So as long as you live in the state of Nevada, you can apply to attend Pinecrest.
That's awesome. Sweet.
Okay, so this one, I know that some of the schools, some of the elementary schools also have like the preschool option. So can my 4-year-old attend preschool there? So I think she's asking if you guys are going to be having like a preschool option like some elementary schools do.
So not this year. So this year we will only start in kindergarten and go up to 7th grade. So this year that's unfortunately not part of our grade level service.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, and I know this is one of probably the most asked questions, but what are the class sizes for each grade or kind of on average, and how many classrooms are there in each grade? You know, are there 2 classrooms, 6 classrooms? I think that's a lot of parents' concerns right now with public school in general, and so I'd love to hear your answer on this.
Yeah, so in kindergarten and 1st grade, we'll have 25 students in a class. We'll have 4 classes. In the elementary grades, we'll have 4 classes in K through 3. Our kindergarten actual physical classrooms look a little bit different. They're designed specifically for kindergarten with individual bathrooms with, kindergarten sized facilities and things like that. So in K1, it's 25-1. In 2nd through 5th grade, we have 26. And then going into middle school, we have a 31-1 ratio. However, we have some work that we're doing with our schedule because students have core classes and special classes. So middle school will look a little bit under between 25 and 30 in an actual classroom. Yeah,
okay, awesome.
4 per grade is our capacity. So 4 classes in each grade level this year, and then middle school. So
how many students total are you guys taking from the lottery that will be accepted?
Yeah, so we'll have 688 students this year. And so the reason it looks a little different is because we cap each grade level. So when we have 4 classes of 25 in kindergarten, that means we'll accept 100 students in kindergarten, right, and so on up the grades. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is a really cool thing, and Casey and I were talking about the blended learning component of Pinecrest and how in a situation in the uncertain times that we are in right now with the distance learning, how amazing that would be to utilize as an asset. But specifically on the technology side, how is it in terms of the iPads or Chromebooks? Is it a one-to-one? Are students sharing them? How does that work if, let's say, something like what we're going through right now is to happen again in the future?
Yeah, so let me start with what blended learning looks like and why it's so advantageous, especially right now finishing the school year as all of our students are without taking standardized tests that they would typically take, and having results from spring assessments that we would take into forming instruction in the fall. Since we're removing that piece of the equation, and we're going to see all different levels of progression for this last 6 to 9 weeks of the school year, our assessment piece and part of our curriculum are those starting assessment points as part of our iReady learning curriculum. So students will take their starting assessment, and then they will have a plan that is targeted at meeting their individual needs in both reading, writing in grades 2 through 5, and in mathematics. So as they work on those electronic platforms and they're accessing some of those electronic lessons, they're doing practice, and the practice looks like games and it looks like interactive tools and things like that. And then they take these continuous assessments. So as they build their skills, as we see where they come in, and we're able to foster some of their skills and scaffold to get them working towards grade level and beyond, we will continue to accelerate that and shape that in the classroom. So that's the blended piece, is that they have this really targeted approach through those online platforms, and the teachers have access to see those where the student has area of strength and where they need support. And so the teacher can take those assessment tools and then form instruction in the classroom. We are right now working on what our technology package is going to look like. It's certainly a goal of mine that students have access to the most amount of technology that's practical for what we want to use it for. So in the classroom every day, if a teacher, for example, is going to use that blended format in more of our power hour center time, and only 6 students are on a device at once, I would certainly want to make sure that our teachers have what they need and we don't have excess, and that we're being very diligent with how we're allocating funds for technology. So as for right now, we'll work towards a closer to 1-to-1 ratio. At this point, I'm still working on how that's going to exactly look for the fall. However, even in a situation like this, it's not necessarily that every family needs a device, or that if there's multiple students in a family, devices can be shared, or students have devices at home. But certainly knowing that our students have access to that for learning to continue at home in the case that we're not in school is of the utmost importance, so that learning doesn't stop, because our kids are growing every single day. They're learning and they're curious, and we want to make sure that that continues and we give them tools to be successful.
Awesome, that's great. Just a reminder for those that are just jumping on, we're live with Jami Curtis, principal of Pinecrest of Northern Nevada, or Pinecrest Academy of Northern Nevada. They are going to be opening up in fall 2020 of this year, so we're really excited, and we are just answering a ton of questions right now. I know there's some in the live chat, so if you guys have questions, we'd love for you to join in on the conversation. Comment the questions below, and then we'll keep this rolling for about another 20 minutes or so. So another question I have for you, and I think this is really important because a lot of schools in the area do offer a second language to be learned. So will there be bilingual education at Pinecrest this year or in future years?
So I just want to make sure to clarify. So the difference between learning a second language and bilingual education is that a bilingual education means that students are doing their educational pieces in 2 languages simultaneously and throughout the day. Learning a second language, for example, learning French or learning Spanish in the classroom, would look like a time of the day that's set apart specifically for language instruction. And then most of that specific time is in the target language. So right now, if you don't know this about me, I am an avid pursuer of language. I love language. I speak French. I can understand most of Spanish, and so I'm absolutely passionate about our students learning language. So right now we're looking at bringing Spanish in as our first option for second language learning at Pinecrest in the middle grades. Whether or not we expand that down to our elementary school this coming year, I'm still working on our schedule. There's lots of awesome enrichment opportunities that I want to make sure our students have access to. So that is up in the air for the elementary grades, but right now middle school will have access to taking Spanish. and possibly one other language. So that's going to depend. Our language program will be driven by our student interest. So as our enrollments start to come in and those elective surveys go out to our families and we get feedback on what they want to learn, we certainly have some fantastic partners that are interested in coming in and helping us teach and pursue those language learning opportunities on campus. So yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool. Awesome, thank you.
So another question that somebody had asked in the comments just now, and I think that we touched a little bit about it when we shared last week about Pinecrest, but it would be awesome if you could kind of share a little bit more about how the transportation option is going to be working.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And I've actually been meaning to make a video to share about that because I do get that question a lot. So as part of us wanting to make sure that our families have access to our school, we've chosen 2 off-site locations. And so this is a partnership that we have with the Boys and Girls Club. So students who need that shuttle transportation have the option to become members of the Boys and Girls Club, and we'll have 2 pickup locations. One will be very near the Larry D. Johnson Community Center in downtown Sparks. And the other one will be in the parking lot of the Scolari's grocery store in Sun Valley. And so those pickup times will be arranged and families can come meet the shuttle and have their students get on the shuttle to come to campus in the morning. And so that's just a fantastic opportunity for families that maybe don't have they're going a different direction, or they have students going to different school sites. And so we're really hoping that will help meet the need for families living near those sites, or that can be a meeting point. In terms of the afternoon, what we're looking at with our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, we'll have on-site before and after care, but we're also looking at the option of having our families choose to have their students shuttled from our site after school in the evening to the Boys and Girls Club on East 9th Street. And so then they would have an alternate pickup location that's closer to town. So that's how that would work. So it's 2 remote sites for pickup in the morning, and then the option of either picking up on campus in the evening or picking up at the East 9th Street Boys and Girls Club in the evenings.
Awesome. And then kind of just the Boys and Girls Club is going to be offering before and after school care on site as well. So parents have that option in addition.
Yes, absolutely. Right now we're looking at about a 7 in the morning to 6 p.m., but they'll be very flexible, and we'll be able to be very responsive to what our community needs are. So we will work around those too. Yes, and they will be on our site. So they'll use our facility in the morning. They'll provide some of the resources and staffing for that, and the registration and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
For the transportation, do you guys think that in the future you guys will expand your transportation with the Boys and Girls Club, or do you think it'll kind of stay within that area of those 2 locations that you had mentioned?
Yeah, so one piece of that is, and us being responsive to the community, is that as we get our enrollments in, we'll ask parents how we can meet that transportation need for them. So we'll have a sort of survey that goes out citing those 2 locations, and then looking at geographically where our enrolled families live to make sure that if those 2 locations are working and appropriate, or if we need to expand. So we'll absolutely be responsive to what the need is for that, and as helpful as we can be, for sure. We're also looking, in addition to that, we're also working on a partnership with a carpooling app to help families orchestrate carpools, because some that live kind of in a different area, there might only be 2 or 3 families that live close by, but it may be close enough to arrange a carpool. So we're hoping to have that up and going pretty soon after enrollment too.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question is, are you guys still hiring teachers?
Yes. Yeah, so we are still hiring teachers. I just posted some positions to the website this past weekend. So right now we're hiring still teachers in the primary grades, in the elementary grades. And I have a couple specialist positions, so a science teacher position, a PE teacher position. So yes, we're still hiring teachers. I'd love to see if the easiest way to get information to me if you are interested in coming to teach is to email or email a resume along with your position interest, or go on the website and fill out the employment inquiry form. So those are the easiest ways. I am going through those just as quickly as I can and scheduling virtual interviews. So we'll, yeah, be happy to look at interest for teaching positions. That'd be great.
Okay. And then I know you
our Northern Nevada moms and dads signing up to be teachers, right, Casey?
Yep. Hey. I can teach a few things. Can you just talk a little bit about how the lottery works? Because I know you mentioned some.
Yeah. Yeah. So the lottery is actually run off-site. It's run through the computer. So we have, we don't do anything with it on site or within our system. So each grade level has a certain number of seats allocated. So as I mentioned, with those classroom capacities and the number of classes in each grade level. And then we take in all of our applications for each grade level. And so anytime that we have more applicants than we have seats, we run a lottery. And so it's a randomized computer generated process in which students are selected to have a seat. So one thing to keep in mind is that there are a couple of priority options. So siblings, for example, have priority. So if a 7th grade student is accepted and has a seat, then their younger siblings would get a seat too. So it's really important for us to keep families together. It makes everything easier for families. So that's one piece of how seats are allocated. And then we run the lottery, and then wait list numbers are assigned to anyone who isn't given a seat. And then as we work through processing registrations and finalizing registration applications, if additional seats open up, then we go to our wait list and pull applicants from the wait list.
You know, just a little bit more on that question is I know that you mentioned earlier about maybe if you qualify for do you get an extra ticket?
Yes.
Yeah, can you talk about that?
So for our families who qualify for free and reduced lunch, we have a weighted lottery. So that's where there's also a tab on the website that it'll say, fill out your free and reduced lunch income verification. So just submitting that paper so that we can check the box to make sure that students are given an extra ticket into the lottery.
Okay.
And families should have received notification about that. So they should have gotten an email. And then that's why we have that 3-day kind of window in between our enrollment close and our lottery run so that we can make sure and get all of those verified.
Perfect. Okay. Do you guys offer applications just once a year? Or if your kids are not school age this year, when should they apply? When does the lottery reopen?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So our open enrollment will typically run in the beginning of January and run for about 6 weeks. So that next year, so if you, for example, had a 4-year-old this year that's going to be starting kindergarten in 2021, you would want to be on the lookout in January, following the website and Facebook and all those things, because we will post about that and share about that. And so as soon as registration opens up for the following year, that's when you'd want to apply. For this year, we have open enrollment through April the 12th, and then we'll run our lottery. If there are seats still available in certain grade levels, or if there are additional seats, for example, in middle school, then families can still apply to have a seat in the school. So we will take applications after we run the lottery if there's still seats available in grade levels. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. We are still live. We have about 10 minutes left. So we're kind of going to transition to some questions that we've been getting on Facebook Live right now. So if you're watching with us and you have a question, please feel free to comment below and we will get through as many as possible. I see a few on here, and so we will do that. And then Jami, thank you again. If you have any other things to include about Pinecrest and what parents can expect or what they should be looking for in terms of, getting notified for the lottery, we would love to hear some of that as well. And let's see, Casey, do you see one on here? Oh, okay, I found one. Will kindergarten have a morning snack? And kind of how is the lunches and breakfast and the low income households, how are they receiving lunch? What does that look like?
Okay, so in terms of our kindergarten schedule and the schedule for our elementary grades, school starts at 9 a.m. and students go from 9 to 3:30. And so our students will have an opportunity for their recess break and their snack break in the morning. And we try to make that opposite of their special class so that they have a break in the morning, they have a break in the afternoon, and they have their lunch and recess in the middle of the day. So in terms of that, our daily plan, our daily itinerary includes ample time for students to have time to focus and to learn, but then also to play and take a break and have a snack and refresh and those pieces. In terms of our free and reduced lunch program, so we will be partnering with a food service provider to serve hot lunch on our campus. So that doesn't mean that families have to have lunch on campus. We can also, of course, accommodate families who want to bring cold lunch and bring in their lunchbox to eat on campus. So the way that our lunch program will work is for families that qualify for free and reduced lunch for the purpose of the lottery, they're sending an income verification form in right now. In the summer, and after our enrollment opens up for, there's a new household application that will go out at the end of the summer to verify eligibility for receiving free and reduced lunch for the meals for the coming school year. So when those go out, students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch will fill out their lunch request forms and then receive lunch in the lunch line at the cafeteria, just like any other student that's ordering lunch. Our students will have a time that they go down to the lunchroom and eat as a class. Some students will have hot lunch, some students will bring lunch, and yeah, so I hope that answers that question. The lunches are also available to purchase. So I look at the menu for my own children and kind of look at what I think they would like to eat, or there might be a certain day of the week that makes more sense for our family to have hot lunch because it's just easier on the family dynamic. So there's that option as well.
Awesome, thank you. Casey?
Oh yeah, and we didn't really talk about uniforms. I know that Pinecrest will have uniforms. Somebody's asking if the vendors have been decided on uniforms.
Yes, so we, our incoming faculty team met this past week virtually, and so we looked at some proposals. We looked at different options. So we're going to have a choice of gold, gray, navy, and white polos with the Pinecrest emblem as part of our standard uniform. And then we have slacks, shorts, jumpers, skirts, different options for the bottoms. And we have a full uniform dress code policy that lines out all of those other pieces, and spirit wear and things like that, cardigans and sweatshirts and all of those things. But yes, the uniform policy is one of my most favorite things as a parent because it saves their play clothes for play and for the weekend and things like that. And it makes getting dressed in the morning so easy. I just absolutely love it. So yes, we're very excited, and we're hoping to have the uniform virtual storefront up and running in about a month for families to start looking at those items and getting ready to stock up for the coming school year.
Awesome.
Okay, we have a question on here that says, what paperwork will be needed if they get accepted? Like different forms, vaccinations, especially with everything going on, and making sure that they can get that from their providers and physicians. Yeah. Do they have a span of time for that?
Yeah, so that is, and I'm referencing an email because I've gotten that question a couple of times. So I wanted to make sure that we have that lined out to give to families so that they can start working on those. So yes, the vaccine record for many people can be referenced and located digitally through the Nevada Vaccine Registry or from your doctor's office if you don't already have a copy. Families need to provide a proof of address. And there's a couple of different documents that are allowable to verify proof of address, a copy of a driver's license. There's the full application form with the releases, such as where my student goes after school every day, or here are my emergency contacts. So there's that entire packet. That's a digital packet will be accessible to families after they receive notification that they have a seat, and then those supplemental documents that need to be uploaded, a student birth certificate, the vaccine records, and those can be uploaded digitally.
Great.
Where, yeah, we'll have definitely some flexibility this time of year, as it might take a little bit longer to get those items uploaded, but we'll definitely be working with families since this is all a little bit different, doing everything digitally.
And this is only, you only need these documents once, like if your child is accepted through the lottery. Just to apply, you do not need any documentation unless you're low income.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's super easy to apply.
Exactly. Yeah. You just go on the website and fill out the really quick form.
Yes.
That's the easy application, and then the FRL status forms for the weighted lottery. And then, that entire registration packet will come later next week for families who have a seat.
Yeah. If you haven't applied yet because you just thought you didn't have time, let me just tell you from experience, it's super simple. I personally put it off a few weeks because I thought I was going to need all this paperwork and documentation. And then I finally sat down to apply, and it probably took me 2 minutes.
Yes.
So yeah.
Super easy. Yeah, and if you have siblings or multiple
children, it might take a little bit more if you have like multiple children, but for my first grader, it took me minimum time.
Awesome.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Let's see. If someone does end up being a teacher at Pinecrest, and they are accepted to be a teacher, do their children automatically get a spot? Do they have to go into the lottery as well? Is it kind of like they get an extra entry? How does that work? If someone's a teacher in Reno and they're now, at Pinecrest, is their kid gonna have to go to another school?
No, that's a really great question. So our charter allows for what we call staff priority for student enrollment. So what that means is that I reach out to all the teachers that we've hired, and I say, let me know that you are interested in having your student attend. They fill out the application, and we indicate that those students will be attending with staff priority, so they get a seat. It's really important and such a great part of this community model that families are part of the equation, and that being, teachers on campus who also have their children on campus, it just helps create such an awesome sense of community for our students.
Awesome, that's great. And one last question: if they don't get into the accepted and chosen from the lottery this year, can they reapply next year?
Right. So students this year, if they don't have a seat through the first round of enrollment, will receive a wait list number. So anyone that applies before April 12th will receive a wait list number. So it's really important, even leading up into these last days before the lottery, to go ahead and apply, because even if you don't have a seat, you'll have a wait list number. As those numbers move and our registrations are finalized, we offer seats to those on the wait list. So if you apply after the deadline for open enrollment and then apply, that means we would have to exhaust students on the entire wait list before we draw students who applied after open enrollment. So
gotcha. Better to apply now.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a time frame here between the next few days to make sure that you're in that first round of enrollment and for the first round of the lottery.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No, good. I was just going to say, as a follow-up to that, if students aren't admitted this year and want to reapply next year, they have to apply again. So our wait list numbers and everything start over next year.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining the conversation with us. We are so excited to be sitting here with Jami Curtis, principal of Pinecrest Academy. I just want to let you guys know, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them on the Facebook Live. Jami or someone from Pinecrest will go on there and be sure to answer them, and we'll try to get the answers for them as well. And then one last thing, you can learn more about Pinecrest on their website. It's pinecrestnnv.org, and you can apply directly through the link that we have shared in the post on this page. So the caption right above this video, there's a direct link to just go straight to apply. Like Casey said, it takes 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Super easy. So you can go there, and we'll share it again on our page and in the event page. And then one last thank you to everyone who joined us. You can find Casey and I and our entire contributor team and all of the Nevada Moms community on northernNevadaMoms.com or on social media at Northern Nevada Moms. So that's it for us. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. And thank you so much again, Jami. We really loved having you today.
Thank you for having me. Take care, you guys.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.